Hello. I'd like to talk now about the 7 stages of grief. You may think that's a strange subject to talk about because when you're diagnosed with cancer, although there's fear, no one has died, and you associate those grief stages with a bereavement. But actually, you go through those feelings, very similar stages, that is, whether you divorce or end a relationship or have other trauma in your life, like being diagnosed with cancer. So at first, if you don't know that to expect this, it can be in itself a shock and it can throw you about even more. But I found that by looking at it, researching it, reading about how that grief can affect you, I could better understand what I was going through and then not beat myself up about it. Actually feel that this was quite usual. This is what most people go through in slightly different forms. So what I would encourage you to do is to have a look at that online. There's nothing frightening there, which I avoided anything to do with Googling my condition or what outcomes there could be, because I was fearful of anything which was not positive. And I believe I was right to do that. You can get the information you need from your practitioner, but I think things like your mental health, you may have to wait to see someone who can help you with that. And I think if I had known this at the start, it probably would have helped me. So just to run through the stages of grief, you've got shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, then upward turn, reconstructing your life, and acceptance and hope. So those might come in different order, at different timings for different people, but we generally will feel some of those or most of those things at some point during our cancer journey and recovery. And I think first of all it's shock. I've actually been outside the waiting room waiting to see my surgeon on follow-ups and further down the line, even a couple of years later, and I've seen patients coming out and the look on their face, and it is like somebody's punched them in the stomach, and you can feel so disorientated once you've had that diagnosis that your brain almost freezes and you actually stop hearing things that are being said to you. You're less aware of what's going on around you, or what day of the week it is, and you start saying, oh, I don't know what's the matter with me, I don't remember you saying that, and then you start feeling guilty because of it, which is a pointless thing because you are reacting perfectly normally and you've just got to cut yourself some slack. So pain and guilt, I would say that in this case the pain is feeling the loss of your peace of mind, that carefree person that you were before you were diagnosed, and that you know that there will always be that worry that will stay with you for the rest of your life, which diminishes over time, but that life will never be the same again is how you feel. So that is a pain, that is a loss of peace of mind, and you really got to deal with that from the beginning if you can. The other thing, which sounds strange, but guilt, and I remember thinking, if I'd done things differently, if I'd had a better diet, less stress, if I hadn't used certain medications, I kind of took the responsibility on myself for where I found myself, and you know, that wasn't fair. It's not as if I'd abused my body in any way, but it's just a natural thing to feel that certain guilt for the condition that you're in. So anger and bargaining, I think I remember that anger really well. As I said before on previous episodes, that I felt that I'd had more than my fair share of illness and procedures over the years, and I couldn't believe that this had come. I'd thought maybe I might be in line for breast cancer because my mother had had it, my paternal grandmother, and so on, but it's not a direct line through mother, grandmother, so on. But it did, you know, obviously concern me. But as the years ticked on, went past 51, 52, 53, and I was 56 before I was diagnosed, whereas my mother was 51, my grandmother was 52. I thought I got away with it. And then when I realised I hadn't, then I was pretty angry. And that eats you up inside if you're not careful. Now, I'm not religious anymore, but I could imagine that at that stage you start bargaining with God or a higher power. You know, if I look after myself, you know, will you make sure this doesn't come back, or that this all works out well? That's quite normal as well. Your brain's looking around for a solution, for a way of making it right, and using bargaining is one of those tools. The next one that I want to talk about is depression. Now, depression may or may not kick in at this stage because you'll be busy, you'll be having procedures, you'll be going for appointments. It really is a treadmill, and one thing happens after the other, and you're glad that you can tick it off your list and it's done. So you may not feel the depression, it may not hit you at that expected moment. And for me, I got through it all, and it wasn't until after it was all done that I sat down and sort of thought about it, and then I felt a sort of depression, I think coupled with exhaustion at that point. So don't be surprised if you feel depression later on, and even a year after you finished your treatment. You know, it can creep up on you for different reasons at different times, depending on what's going on in your life. So then the upward turn and reconstructing your life. You know, you come out the other side, and hopefully you told that everything's good, and off you go. And then you think, what shall I do with my life? And you might decide to do something completely different. You may reconstruct your life the same as before, go back to your job. Or you may say, well, actually, I'm at a stage in my life where I've evaluated what I'm doing, and I don't want to continue being stressed or whatever. And you may actually think about a change in career, or you may, if you're able to, retire early, or you may just decide to start doing something you've always wanted to do and you've put off because life's so busy. You say, I'm going to learn to sing, I'm going to have singing lessons, or whatever has appealed to you. And it does give you a perspective, a different perspective, and that actually is a good thing. To stop and take stock of your life and make changes while you can, instead of just racing along and looking back on your life and thinking, you know, I wish I'd given this a bit more thought, or been a bit more brave about making changes. And lastly is acceptance and hope. So you come to terms with or accept what has happened to you, and you see that you are better, you see that there's a good result, and it gives you that little inkling of hope. At first you're afraid to believe it, You almost become superstitious that if you dare to hope, something may go wrong. Don't build your hopes up. But as the months and the years go by, you start to believe, you start to really hope that the future will be brighter and in some ways better because you have perspective on your life. So understanding what you will go through and that it will get better and that you will get that acceptance and hope and rebuilding of your life can make a real difference